Well, we're in a bit of retro mode here. This is a fast blast for the 29th of September. This is a fast blast for the 29th of September, end of September 2024. And we're in retro land here. I am wearing a Sunshine Radio stereo radio t-shirt. It's actually a sweatshirt thing, and I still fit in it. I won't show you what's below there. But this is because we've had a wonderful visit from Susan Charles. And this is also because of the 60th anniversary of Radio Caroline. One of the great things about scripting things is you don't script it. And this is to celebrate Radio Caroline, 60 years, and Retroland. Sunshine Radio, which came out of Dublin in 1970. It came on the air, I think, 1979. And that was just while a lot of the original Dublin pirates thought that things, ARD and things were going back a long time now. And I just come back from Canada, and I love Canada very much. And it's really dreadful what's going on in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the Empire countries, and this country. But that brings us a bit into the today period. Susan Charles, the beautiful, wonderful Susan Charles, paid us a visit. Susan Charles was on Radio Caroline in the 1980s, and she came over here to spend 3 days at the end of August, heading into September this month, and the whole way from Vancouver. And Susan was on the radio ship then. This is the Ross Revenge, the final ship for Radio Caroline. And this little mast here, where you can just see this little thing here. Oh God, where is it? That's just there for pretend purposes. Nick Richards, of course, was on it when that mast, the 300-foot mast, came down after the terrible storms of, I think, 1987. I'm not sure, but that was when the Rendlesham Forest area was blasted with a massive storm. And that's a whole nother subject. Notice how these things intermix. So that's Radio Caroline. And the main thing is, I also had a very delightful guest from the United States here called Mary Ann. And Mary Ann was at the conference I presented at with Kerry Cassidy in High Elms Manor. Now, one of the things which happened was after the death of Anna Hess, I took a little sentimental journey up to the Domain house, the old house that the Johnston family, the Lennon family occupied. I left it in January 2006, and it was finally sold to developers in around about 2010. It took quite a while to sell it. And I do hope that the people who occupy the premises, a bit of a shock to see it stripped down to plaster. And I recovered from the KISSFM. There's a link to this because Susan Charles, who was on Radio Caroline, as Tom Hardy was, and the late Tom Hardy and the late, quite a few lates. Anyway, the point is Susan Charles was our newsreader on KISSFM 103.7. And when I visited the Domain house, made a little blog about it, pretty tearful to see the house in that state, the Domain house. But the home of the hits, so to speak, was where I modified or built or did a lot of the work for KISSFM 103.7. And when I'm holding it here, and when I was there, I managed to recover one 13-amp socket, twin socket, which I'd put in there decades ago, and the light switch that switched the lights on in the workshop that I had, which helped build all those radio stations on my side, on my contribution to pirate radio. And one of the great things about 1979 was with the stations in Dublin were starting up, and Sunshine Radio, followed by Radio Nova, which was for the finest of the super pirates, and KISS-FM was my contribution, thanks to Jeff Camblin and the Stevenson, Sam Stevenson, and the other great directors and people I just can't recall. and a great builder from Armagh, financed that way back in 1987. I got fired to the BBC, and you can see my video and all that sort of stuff anyway, but I don't go through the whole history. And this is to celebrate and to recognise KISS FM. It's got my light switch in it, and here it is. And you can see me in there, recovered using AI. That's me in my workshop way back in those days. And get it right, Miles. And there you are. That's the light switch. And that's to celebrate KISS FM 103.7. And it's this was done by Original Glory, which is a wonderful art shop, framing shop here in Devizes. And there they are. And this is the original Polaroid. This Polaroid was shot in 1992 when I was at Sky News and spent a whole 21-year career there at Sky News. This is the workshop, which Barry Hara and his late wife, Jackie, and Jeff Camblin, has passed away with stomach cancer long time ago, around about the early 90s. Was it the early 90s? God, when did Jeff finally pass? Anyway, I'm wearing a Eurosport t-shirt. I can still fit into that. A Eurosport was the European Broadcasting Union's sports channel on Sky. And that's before it became B Sky B. So we're wearing some very retro clothes here. Now, speeding along, I introduced you to Susan Charles. I'll put a little clip of her up. She was really good to see Susan Charles. Susan Charles spent 3 days on Radio Caroline, the 80s crew, and it was fantastic to have that radio station on the air. But that radio station, Sunshine Radio, who was populated by people who were used to be on the ship that lost Revenge, and they built 2 massive pirate stations in Dublin, which gave a whole millions of people a wonderful expression of land-based radio from Dublin, Kilmarnock, and Chris Carey's Radio Nova. Great people, wonderful people, 25, 30 years of great people in Dublin to meet and be part of that generation. And they're giving it all away because they've walked straight into this injection situation. And this is now right up to the present day. This is a shout out from the beautiful and wonderful Sandi Adams. She called me up yesterday morning. And on Friday, the 4th of October, 2024, at the Town Hall Magdalen Street Centre of Glastonbury, she is holding a conference with Richard Vobes. Richard Vobes is that star of YouTube, and he has his reel-to-reel and has been doing a heck of a lot to communicate the current crisis to mainstream media, mainstream people. He's a brilliant man, and he'll be there at an evening with Richard Vobes, Sandi Adams, and Clive Descartes. We'll discuss natural health technologies and things like that. It's there on the poster. Do try to attend. Doors open 5:45. It's from 7 to 10 p.m. I'll be down there with a couple of cameras to record it. And not to be missed, Sandi is an absolute legend and has contributed so much to the community. I've just done, behind me is Bases 2024. And we're doing a seminar, an online seminar, Bases 2024, and that has gone out on the Bases YouTube restricted site. It'll be on Rumble, and it'll be on BitChute, and it'll be on Brighteon. That's Bases 58 with Sandra Glaze in Ontario, and we've done a 2-hour presentation. She gave a 2-hour PowerPoint presentation on the detail of what's going on with a whole layer of local public officials who are installing the infrastructure and the local legislation. Again, there's one happening in Northern Ireland, a horrendous bill in the Northern Ireland Parliament, and I don't want to just sidesweep on that. The point is, this is connecting with Sandi Adams' work, and Sandi Glaze, we did a 2-hour presentation. That's on my YouTube site, Bases Restricted, on Rumble, the Bases Project on Rumble and BitChute, and Brighteon, the Bases Project. And all of this is available on basistv.com. Do subscribe. We have a subscription which is as low as you can possibly get to finance the channel and put all of the basis material and some of the stepping stone stuff with Jane Shattuck going on that as well. So that's really important that you try to support that. Okay, we've got the Sandy Adams' one on Friday, this Friday coming. This is a Sunday afternoon fast blast. October the 20th. Alternative View AV Events are doing an awful lot of small events around the country. This is another one with the Alternative View presents Thomas Sheridan with the beautiful Maria Wheatley. And there they are. Thomas is taking off a bit of weight. That's good. And Maria Wheatley will be there at Alternative View. Thomas Sheridan, Maria Wheatley. Tickets are £30 from AV Events, the website AV Events there. Buy your tickets there. And there's a number of events. We will be doing an online event in this studio in November for the Alternative View. And that's online only. And that's Sunday the 20th of October in the Assembly Rooms, High Street in Glastonbury. But the immediate one right now, that's a shout out for Alternative View events. And there is a major bill, just one final lit, that's it. Sunday on the 20th of October, starts at 11 a.m, lunch break, and it finishes round about 4:15. So it's a Sunday afternoon day out at the Assembly Rooms, High Street, Glastonbury for the AV, the Alternative View events. And that's a shout out for those guys. So that's Sandy's one. It's also to let you know that I'll be doing a Basis 2024 online event with Kerry Cassidy. She has done a lot of work. A lot of work is available now. A lot of material now available on Substack. I've got a presence there, but I haven't developed it. So Substack, do find an awful lot more detailed articles and written articles and features on Substack. And so Kerry's, I'll be introducing Kerry, recording that imminently, and that will go out as a Basis 2024, and that'll go on Basis TV, and we'll see if we can slip it in on a YouTube channel. We did get a strike, which was rescinded when I put Karen MacDonald's material on about the fires in Canada. People have got to understand that the head of the snake, the Draco, or the whatever Elena Danan is referring to, which I do not trust that any withdrawal of these ET things have actually happened. We'll have to see what really happens. We're heading into very troubled water. The legislation being trialled in Northern Ireland for the health service, the health bill, is you've got a right to Belfast Castle and object and give your views and objections to an insidious power grab. Worse, this is when they're going to drag you out of your homes, take your food, take everything you've got, imprison you, take you to your secure area. It's draconian, horrific legislation they're pushing through by a frankly compromised governmental structure in Northern Ireland, as they are in Scotland and in Wales and in the UK. In this country, we are fully compromised with a fully insidious and despotic controlling structure. People just don't realise the seriousness of what's going on. The fact that Radio Caroline all those years ago had to go and build a radio ship to play a couple of records in 1964, 60 years ago, should tell you that in order to play a couple of records, you've got to do that sort of a thing. We do not live in a free country. Legislation with the relevant, and I've stayed off the political thing, but the legislation going through now, it's draconian, okay? Draco. So that's a fast blast. KISSFM, Radio Caroline, very good people, wonderful people, doing a wonderful job all those years ago. And that is a phrase that I've using with Robbie Dale. Robbie Dale built Sunshine Radio. Good people. Many have left us. Susan Charles came the whole way over from Toronto, from Vancouver, and managed to see practically all those left from the KISSFM days, and spent a wonderful time on Radio Caroline. And it was really wonderful to see her all these years later, something like 34 years later, looking fantastic. And that's it from a Sunday afternoon in the Basis studio. Bye for now.